But what a lot of people don't realize, and here's a tip for everyone: resolved conflicts increases intimacy.
That's a good one.
You get closer and closer, and when you're willing to allow yourself to be raw with your spouse, men, listen here. If you're willing to be raw with your spouse, they love it.
Faith and Failures Podcast.
I know you've had this and you probably had to navigate this. Some high conflict. How do you approach dealing with a high conflict marriage?
It usually comes out in the first session after the assessment.
Really?
When I say, tell me what's going on.
They start blaming each other.
Man, I call it the puke session.
Yeah. That's a good
Because everything comes out and each person has their own perception of reality.
Yeah.
And everything like that. So once it gets all out there, then what we do is we start establishing the ground rules for communication. Mm-hmm. 3 basic things I want every sentence that you communicate. I want a request, an emotion or feeling, why, and then desired outcome. You got your brain spinning. All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'm going to give you an example, real life example. Sorry, Lori. We're driving back from Montana and third Nebraska, I guess it was. And I'm doing like above the speed limit. We'll just say it like that. And the cruise control's on and it's raining. And Lori looks over and past she'd look over and say, slow down. I say, yeah, right. And I went, slow down. So since we've done this and done the training on it and stuff, now she'll look over and she'll say, you know what, Bill, if you'd slow down, it'd give me less anxiety and I'd be more comfortable while you drive. I'd be much pleasant to drive with. It's much easier. I hear you.
Yeah.
My driving scares you. Great. I slow down so that you're not complaining and yelling at me.
Yeah.
You know, and so we establish ground rules for communication. I've actually, every once in a while, I've just sat back and watched them fight because you learn so much from the dynamics of who's in control, who's the boss. And you can actually see people cower towards the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You watch their hands, you watch their vocals, the paraverbals, I guess is what you call them. Everything that goes into an argument. And, you know, we go home and we have rules to fighting. Rule number 1, you cannot stand up and fight. Well, if I stand up, my wife's small. So if I stand up,
Yeah.
it's intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, great, I'm going to sit down. But yeah, you do that. But what a lot of people don't realize, and here's a tip for everyone. Resolved conflicts increases intimacy.
That's a good one.
You get closer and closer, and when you're willing to allow yourself to be raw with your spouse, men, listen here. If you're willing to be raw with your spouse, they love it.
Yeah.
And the intimacy increases.
Which is what you want.
Now that there's 5 types of intimacy. Remember that.
Oh, what are they? Tell us.
Okay. So you have intellectual intimacy. Can you sit down and have a deep conversation about something? Then you have spiritual intimacy. Are you on the same page spiritually? You'd be surprised at how many couples aren't on the same page spiritually.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have emotional intimacy. Can you share your raw feelings with each other? And then you have non-sexual physical touch intimacy. Okay, that's just the caressing the back, yeah, stuff like that. And then you have the intimacy that everyone drives for, is the sexual intimacy. And with that, if you get the other 4 going, man, the last one's great. So that's the 4 parts of it.
Getting those 4 going will lead you to the 5th, fellas.
It will. So
just in case you were wondering. So what are some common marriage myths that you frequently run into?
I love these. So do you want the churchy answer or do you want the other answer?
I want both of them.
Okay.
Or I want all of them.
Get them all. Well, number 1, marriage is not 50-50.
Okay.
50-50, there's a line in the middle. Marriage isn't even 75-75. Marriage is 100%. You got to be 100% in on it, man.
Yeah.
And that goes back to giving everything you got to it. I'm going to bounce a little bit. My spouse completes me. I love it. But, oh, Lori completes me. No. Hopefully you're a complete person walking into a relationship. Otherwise, you're going to have nothing but turmoil.
And that's why there's so much trouble. Yes, exactly.
It's my responsibility to make sure my spouse stays happy. And then you get into some of the good ones here. Next to God, my wife is the most important person in the relationship.
Now, why is that one a myth? Explain a little bit.
Next to God, I am the most important person in my relationship.
Now, why is that? Explain why it's backwards than what most people think.
And here's the reason. It's up to me to maintain my physical, mental, and spiritual health. Mm-hmm. If I maintain those, then I can overflow goodness into my wife.
Yeah.
So I am important so that I maintain myself in a state that I'm overflowing goodness. Okay. And if I'm doing that and Lori's doing that, then we're both overflowing goodness. We're both healthy. We're both happy. And then it creates, that's the me, okay? It's the me, we, us theory. So that's the me. We're happy and a full me. And then the we, which is Lori and I, are able to come together and overflow more.
Yeah.
And then when that overflows, then it's the us, which is our family.
So two complete people coming together as
Two
one.
complete people coming together as one. You got it. And
That
you
makes
can
a lot
only
more
do that
sense.
if you focus. When I say that, people are like, that's not right. No, it's like,
That's why you're doing it wrong, bro.
you're doing it wrong. And then here's the other one, all right? And
Is this the one you said earlier?
this is the one I'm not supposed to say.
Be ready.
The man is the head of the household, and the wife must submit to his authority. I love when I hear that. Because I think I told you this yesterday. The Bible does say that.
Yeah.
But what about the first verse in front of it or after it? You know, where it says that God made a companion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that you're together. And then it says, treat your wife like God treats the church.
Yeah.
Which means you give up everything.
Yeah.
That means the Harley that's in my garage, if my wife says, hey, Bill,
Now, hold on now.
you know what? It's gone. So, yeah, your wife will submit unconditionally if you're treating her like God treats the church.
Absolutely.
But that is one of the most abused lines in the Bible, I think.
Yeah.
So that is the other myth that
I tried to use that one. It didn't work out too well.
it didn't work out too well.
But here's the thing. Just like, let's just use the basics of a workplace atmosphere. You have a boss that is a CEO or whatever. If he leads with integrity and you see him sacrificing in the trenches and working alongside of his subordinates, the people who are underneath him will serve just as hard as him, believe in the mission and the vision. And it's the same thing in marriage. Like, if I serve my wife like Jesus washed the feet of the disciples, like he did those things, he served people. That was his purpose, to give of himself, literally to the end, to give of himself. And that's how we're supposed to do for our wives. And then men try to tell women to submit to them, but they're not giving them anything to submit to.
No.
There's no reason to respect them. There's no reason to
abuse.
honor them or lift them, because there's
Right.
all you're wanting is someone to bow down to you.
So now, to run that all the way out, if we have a discussion, let's say we want to build a new house and we talk about it and everything, and it's like, well, I do have final word, but that's after taking everything into consideration, not
Right.
making a decision. You know, but if I went home and said, hey, Lori, we're building a house, say what?
No conversation, no nothing. Just,
Yeah.
here's my foot. I'm putting it down, lady.
The house. And she'd say, hope you like your house.
See ya. I'm going to be here with my turtles.
Yeah. Now that is a sure sign of love right there.
Yeah.
The turtle sanctuary.
How many you got now? 11?
Yes, 11. Somebody on posted
Lord's
on
blessing.
Facebook, they said, oh, this is so cool. I said, yeah, we'll be setting up in Canton.
Hey, make some money.
But
That's good. That's good. So, what were those marriage myths one more time for the listeners?
man is the head of the household,
Yeah.
and the wife must submit. That's good to go if you're elevating your wife the way God wants you to be.
Yeah.
Marriage is not 50-50 like everyone thinks. Next to God, my wife is the most important person in the relationship. Work on yourself, man. Take an inventory of yourself every day.
Yeah.
My spouse completes me. You're a person by yourself, and it's not your responsibility to keep your spouse happy.
Faith and Failures Podcast.